Happy New Breath. I am Xahej Bajipura of Keyon. Today I have the privilege of interviewing 3 young people from the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. I still find it ironic that I'm creating an educational video on the LGBT community. This is partly because I was born and raised in San Francisco. For those who don't know, San Francisco is a haven for queer people as well as a sanctuary city for those who are immigrants and refugees. I want those who identify as being LGBT or are questioning themselves to know they are completely normal, that there's nothing wrong with them and that they do belong. I hope that by hearing other people's stories today, they will find strength and courage to be themselves and live an authentic life. Thank you, Kanon, for joining Keyon today, and I wanted to just get to know you a little bit and maybe have the audience learn about who you are and just some of your background and your interests.
Sure.
Welcome, Eli. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. And if you don't know Eli, you definitely need to. She just did my makeup today, actually. It's on point. I'm here with Q. We're in West Palm Beach, and we wanted to learn more about your story. So I have one of your poems, and it's a very beautiful drawing as well. And you wrote, "I live, I love, I struggle to live the life I'm dying for." Do you want to maybe explain what that means for you? Where did you go to school, or where do you go to school currently?
And then I graduated from a computer-based program right after. But yeah, my school was really open about, they weren't open about being gay, but I was open about it because they were okay with it pretty much. You know, we had like a gay club and a gay straight alliance club, which signifies, acceptance in the school. And we had openly gay teachers, and there was a lot of openly gay students, so it felt really comforting. But my early education was like not that nice. Like there was a lot of bullying and stuff.
What do you mean, like you were born in Miami, or?
Yeah, no, I was born in Miami Beach. I've literally been here my entire life. I'm actually pretty content here. I know most people kind of itch to move somewhere else, but I'm kind of happy where I am.
I was at a really low point when I wrote that, but it turned out to be my high.
So is there a big LGBT community too in Miami?
Yes, definitely there is a very big LGBT community in Miami, especially in downtown.
Were you ever a victim of bullying?
Yeah, I was like in preschool, I was a victim of bullying, and then up until like elementary and middle school that continued, sure. But it was never really that bad. It was just always something that was kind of there. Didn't really affect me too much, but I saw it take its toll on other people for sure.
Has there been any time where you have tried to fit in that box, category, or label just so that you would be accepted?
Yeah, I have over the course of my life. Then I find that it doesn't fit for me, so now I feel like I'm really trying to be someone I'm not. And it was all to adjust to them, to the atmosphere, adjust to what the labels are. Or
I'm studying right now art history. I just switched my major to that, so that was like a really big decision for me to like stick with this. I just got accepted into an art school.
So as the Jewish community, the one that you're around, are they very accepting of your lifestyle?
I mean, since I was younger, I've always been kind of like stared at. Going to synagogue was a little bit hard for me if it wasn't the one that my family typically went to on a weekly basis, because they already knew us and that kind of stuff. It was very like nerve-wracking even going, because I knew that people would stare at me because they're like, what is this person of color doing here?
So it wasn't even that you were part of the queer community,
yeah.
It was just because of your skin color?
Yeah, it was just because of my skin color. I was used to never really blending in, that it was like being already different didn't seem that scary, because it wasn't like I was letting go to being seen as normal, because I had never been seen that way. So it was kind of like the next step towards being even more like me. Like, yeah, sure, it's obviously nerve-wracking because I still was being even more different than I was, but I was never seen like anyone else. So it was kind of like easy to be that person,
My sexual orientation has always been trying to fit these labels.
How long have you been doing art for?
Not very long. I've been doing like other things, but I never really like sat down and drawn anything up until a couple of years ago.
But with my mom, like, she kind of had like this very like sad look on her face when I told her. I was like, oh, are you upset? She's like, no, I thought you were gonna tell me you were pregnant. I was like, well, we're good, you know. But yeah. So my family took it really well. I actually just came out to my brother about being on male hormones because I recently started that about a month ago, and we had never actually had an active conversation about me being queer, like actually talking about it out loud and stuff. But I was just like, okay, you know, like I'm 19. I don't want this to be the kind of play that I always have with my one of my siblings that I'm not open. Like one sibling, when I told them that I was queer, they were like, I don't know why you waited so long to tell me. Like, it was just like a very obvious thing that everyone knew.
Yeah, I would say my family's really accepting of it, and they always have been.
I was worried that we already had so much differentness in our relationship that me opening up about another thing that wasn't like according to plan would set even more of a divide, and I didn't want to lose the relationship. But then I realized that after a certain point that I had this one sibling who I used to be very close to, who knows very, very little about my actual life.
So like in a perfect world, I wish I didn't have to like explain to anyone what I'm about. I wish it was just, you know, commonplace for everyone to do their own thing and be gay, pretty much.
How did he receive your information?
Yeah, I think so. He knew that I was queer beforehand without me telling, because now I was just coming out to him about being transgender. So the first time around, he had actually overheard me and my brother talking about the fact that, like, how does he not know that I'm queer? But he had overheard this conversation. So I didn't want a repeat performance, and he was in Prague for a bit because he was with a religious group. He was like leading these youths throughout the town and stuff. And then I realized now that I had to tell him, because since I'm on hormones, like 6 months from now, if I see him again, like I'm gonna look and sound like a completely different person, and I don't want it again being let drift. Like that's just forcing us to have like this miscommunication, and I didn't want
He might have feel left out too, like
yeah.
he told everybody
I mean, he's
else.
also a middle child, and I didn't want him feeling even more like a middle child, because that's usually how that dynamic works. Because it's like I have an older brother, it's him, and then it's me, I'm the youngest, you know?
Okay.
But yeah, so no, it's definitely just second time around being more inclusive.
And he was open to what you were saying.
Yeah, he was open to what you were saying. We didn't really talk about it. I didn't really expect us to talk about it. Like, you know, he was like, thank you for keeping me in the loop. And I was like,
Aw.
you're welcome.
That was one of those things where now I'm being put in a category. Like, can I just play basketball and love my life, you know? It was just always that finger being pointed. You're gay, she's gonna be like that. You're gonna be gay, and that was frustrating, especially middle school. One particular person constantly, every day, and I kind of rejected this person in a sense because I would hang around her, but I rejected her because I actually did like her, but I didn't understand this gay thing she was talking about, you know?
You didn't know about that whole concept. You didn't know about the concept.
No, not really. But, and that just shows like what it did for me. It made me pull away from her as an individual, even though she was my friend, you know, and she probably didn't mean any harm, but in a sense it did some type of damage in my brain.
What are some either words of advice or encouragement you can give to someone who's young watching this, maybe too afraid to come out, or also is uncertain about who they are and are not in such an inclusive community?
I would just say listen to that inner voice in you that's like what's right and wrong. Like you're gonna know if you're lying to yourself, and you're gonna know if it doesn't feel right. So just try not to listen to what you hear on the television. Don't listen to what you hear on the news. Just listen to your true self about how you feel, and it'll take you where you need to go. If you're gay, you'll realize it. If you're not, hopefully we can all like get together at the end of the day and hang out.
All my life I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children. I used to say I want 4 kids. I want 2 girls and 2 boys, you know, make it even and stuff. So all my life I've wanted that. All my life I've wanted a partner to mate with and just have this house, this foundation together. I've wanted that all my life. But things, people on the outside of me made me diffuse that hope. Made me not want it because I see how cruel the world is, how cruel children can be, how cruel adults can be to other children, to other adults. And then I see the violence, the hardship, the suffering, the oppression, the bullying, the suicides, all the negative conflict on the outside of myself made me suppress my beautiful family dream.
Well, I had my first real relationship when I was about 17, and I was still technically in school. And then after the 11th grade, I just kind of could not do it anymore. I wanted to be my own person, and I just became abundantly clear that I could not be myself in that school.
People are pressured to stay in the closet their whole adult life sometimes. They'll get married and they'll fake a whole relationship just to present as straight. And that seems like you're doing everything in your power to do what? To be miserable, I guess, at best.
Which school did you go to or do you currently go to?
I went to Dreyfus High School of Arts. I went there for 4 years for visual arts. Very great school, great people.
Isn't that a very competitive school?
It is. It really is. It's pressure because you have your parents and they really want this for you, and it's pressure because you have colleagues around you within the classroom with other students around, and everyone's working on some type of drawing or working on some type of installation to prove that I'm worthy and I'm, like you guys can invest in me to produce.
Are you an artist by chance?
I consider myself an artist only because I practice art, but I think that anyone's an artist as long as they are doing something that's artistic, really.
And where do you get your inspiration or vision for your
I
drawing?
usually start with like a picture and then it kind of just goes its own path. So I start with something that I actually see and then I just see whatever I want to see.
So my dad actually really gets a kick out of the fact that I'm queer. I think it makes him feel very like an interesting parent. Like, yeah, I have like a transgender child who's like queer, you know what I mean?
Is there any artwork you would like to share with us?
Yeah, after this poem, there's a few things in here. This first one is actually a drawing of Kanon's partner. I'll just show you guys that one. That was pretty much frequency, energy, vibrations. As you can see, it's just sprouting out from every direction, and that's pretty much our link to the universe in general. And I like to express that a lot because a lot of people fail to realize that we are strongly and only connected and not divided.
Thank you so much for being here and
Thank you.
letting Sean enter your world and your higher vision for society. Thank you so much, it means a lot. Thank you, Kanon, for being here today and allowing Sean to get a glimpse of your life. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No.
Thank you so much, Eli, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure. And best of luck in your future pursuits and creating awareness and equality through the HRC.
Cool.
All right.
Hey.